welcome to another edition of Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends. Hey, we got a full house today. We got so many beautiful people. All my co-hosts decided to show up here. This is daylight savings time. The first time I did this show and daylight savings time kicked in, I was the only one on this platform. Look at all these beautiful people paying attention to the time. The sun's up here in Philadelphia, and I know over in Boston and in Yonkers, New York, the sun's up over there too. This show was originally created from the 300 quotes I created for the contents of my books. I was always wondering how one quote landed on another person based on their interpretation and perspectives, and we created this show. I am Kevin McLemore. I'm your show host. I am joined by the lovable and the beautiful couple of Christopher and Gilda James. I'm also, I'm surrounded by people that have a higher IQ than I'm ever going to have. I have Miss Larnez Kinsey, my co-host, my voice, my conscience. She's also my wingman when we travel. I also have co-hosts Peter and Jessica Chichester. Oh, they even got cities and streets named after them. And then Emmanuel. All right, he is our AI guy. Joined with us today. Harold, our educator from Yonkers, New York. He has also joined us. Educator Daryl Mack, my co-host. He's coming at us. I can't wait to hear what he has to say. Denise Lopes. She's also another educator. We've got three beautiful people on here, making a change that we want to see. She's also a published author. We can't wait till her next book comes out. And then we have the voice of the show. We have Mr. Otis Spencer. Now, today's quote brings back a little history. We just came off of an event that we are talking about lifestyle. We had a history month that celebrated people that are making a difference, and today's no difference. We're going to showcase a quote by Miss Madam C.J. Walker, born Sarah Breedlove, December 23rd, 1865. She was one of the original entrepreneurs. There's a TV show coming out, Self-Made, that will be featuring her. She is one of the first people of color to become a millionaire, started a cosmetic company just for people of color, and she grew and she thrived. She's also been one of the featured people that I've written about when I wrote my screenplay about Bumpy Johnson, the son of gangster. She was also one of the principals in that story. I can't wait. I can't wait to see the interpretation or the perspectives on the quote we have today. So with Otis, without any further ado, why don't you go ahead and let go that sweet golden voice on us and talk about Madam C.J. Walker's quote.
Good morning. The quote this morning is, "Don't sit down and wait for opportunities to come. Get up and make them."
All right, all right. I know this sounds very general, but I'm going to tell you we've got a lot of deep thinking people here on this subject, and I am very happy to see the interpretation on this quote. So I'm just curious, Larnez, I'm a Southern boy. I'm always going to let the ladies go first. How does this quote land on you?
Well, Madam Walker herself is a testament to the power of self-made fortune, and she knew the significance of self-initiative, right? She achieved her monumental success by not waiting for other people to build opportunities. She built the doors. She created the opportunities. She knew her actions would bring success in her life. And it reminds me of a lecture that I heard the Honorable Louis Farrakhan say. And in the lecture, he says, when you're in a family, God only plucks one person in that family at a time. And when he plucks you, right? Everybody in your family say, "Oh, this nigga crazy." That's what they're going to say. But they turn their backs on you. And it doesn't matter if they turn their backs on you, because in that moment, you discovered what you were born to do. And when you walk and you choose not to walk in that purpose, guess what? The creator, the man above, is going to continue to pluck you and mess with you and still until you start walking in your purpose, until you start walking in that light. And a lot of people don't understand that. But Madam Walker understood that. She knew that it didn't matter that she was coming up in a time where only men were dominating business. She knew she came up in a time where she wasn't comfortable where she was at in the circumstances she was in. She knew she had to create that blueprint, right? So, I always say good, better, best, right? Let's not rest until the good is better and the better is best. So, what with these words, right? It's not about just making a living. It's about making a life abundant in every way possible, every way imaginable. And that's how this quote hit me.
All right, all right. And I appreciate you quoting Dr. Farrakhan. I just wanted to say for the people that are listening, because people have heard me before, that there's one word in our vocabulary, in our country's vocabulary, that I do not exercise or support. So please, when we drop that, we're going to drop it from our vocabulary. But that was very powerful in what you said in that message itself. Problems become opportunities when the right people get together, which is how this show came together. The opportunity to present a conversation that needed to be had. That's how this show was created. And I thank you all so much, and for our listeners, for tuning in. But we also have someone that has served our country, and he is a proud veteran. He is a thespian. That means he is a working actor. He is also a social activist, and he's also the beloved partner of Gilda James. Christopher, how does Madam C.J. Walker's quote land on you?
When you're in a family of 10, or you don't sit down and expect to have anything more than what's left over. The idea of getting up and making the opportunity, I guess it was just the way things were. It was like the original design for our mental at home. You simply had to set yourself apart to get anything more than simply what was available or what was left over. And the idea of making opportunities, that was what the Navy did for me. I was a kid. The country was at war in Vietnam. It was not the best time for a high school athlete to expect, anything other than, well, let's just say there weren't a lot of scholarships being passed out for athletes at that time. If you were going to leave the house or leave the farm, you were going to join the service. And so that's what I did. And, I never looked back. It seemed as if the entire world sort of conditioned itself to the fact that I'm coming at it at full speed, either adjust or accept the inevitable. And that's what the world pretty much presented to me. As I strove harder, I gained. I became larger. I became more confident in myself. The bottom line was, without even realizing it, I was not a sitter. I just did not have that thought anywhere in my makeup. This quote had it been presented to me, say, 50 years ago, I would have simply said, "Yeah, that's the only way to go." I mean, like Madam Walker is simply preaching what is obvious, what is simply the only way to go. So for myself, all I ever see is you don't make opportunities by waiting for them to come. You only make opportunities by being part of it, by presenting yourself and injecting yourself into that situation to where the outcome is, well, it may not always be what you expected, but the outcome will be a result of your intervention.
The outcome will definitely be a result of your intervention. Well said, my brother. Well said. We have people here that are on the show, and I'll be the first to admit, have an IQ higher than mine. We have Jessica Chichester. She is also an educator. I am so blessed to have so many smart people on this show, especially people that are pouring back and giving back to our young people, because we definitely know, at least my from my perspective, our education system needs to be overhauled, revamped, revisited, and starting all over in order to serve a better purpose. But I'm just curious, and Otis, if you don't mind, for our listeners that just tuned in, to deliver this quote before Jessica gives us her interpretation perspective on this quote.
Certainly. Don't sit down and wait for opportunities to come. Get up and make them.
So, hi, everybody. Good morning. I am Reverend Dr. Jessica Chichester here with you from Stamford, Connecticut. And, thank you so much, Christopher, for your service. I come from a military family, and I was a byproduct of that. Even though I didn't go into the military myself, I saw nobody in my family, right, being first generation here into the country with 10 cents in their pocket. I saw no one wait for any opportunities. And I say, listen, God gave us all gifts. That's why we're here. We're here to make manifest the glory of God in our lives. And it's our responsibility to live in that alignment with our Creator. However you want to define it, some people now are allergic to the word God, but you want to call it source energy or anything of that nature. It's our responsibility and our privilege to live in that alignment. And when we live in that alignment, then it's not about anything that's happening outside of us. It's not even about the opportunities. It's about being in alignment and taking that aligned action. And alignment is not just a feeling, it's a strategic and faith-based move. And I say that when we are in that aligned action, then imperfect action leads to progress. We just got to move things, right? As we're plowing through, right, in that alignment, sometimes, I just imagine like kind of barging through a fence, or if you're on the football field, right, going through that line of defense. It's not to say that you're not going to be hit. It's not to say that you're not going to get hurt or that you might make the wrong move at a time. But we have to, with that faith-based aligned action, having the understanding that even though I might be experiencing this now, I know that all things work together for good for those who are called in accordance with their purpose. So a goal without an action is just a dream, and manifesting is really moving. But you got to know, and this is the difference with where we are right now as a culture. There's so much noise. There's so much stimulus outside. It's going, you know what? Cut it out. Come back to center. Come back home, right? Come back to the service mindset of I'm here to serve. There's no other point in my life but that. God, how can I live in accordance with that? And with that posture, those opportunities will show up as we continue to make that aligned action. Because when we say that we're rebirth or born again, guess what? The birthing process, I got this image last night. The birthing process is so painful. And to be born again, it's the same thing. We're not to say again that we're not going to cry, have new forms of light and all of that. But when we make that heartfelt, soul-felt dedication to upgrade, well, then here we are moving, right? And the opportunities, we are making portals in the sky. And that's what we're called here to do today. And in general, in our lives, that's why we're all here, is to open up that portal of opportunity for not just ourselves, but blessing the 7 generations behind and the 7 generations forward.
Wow. And make every individual blessed. And like she said, we got to stop feeding our distractions. We've got to stop waking up every single day and our heads are bowed down, not for prayer, but in order to serve a piece of machinery that does not serve you. It's only there to manipulate you and exploit you and create a conversation in your head that God didn't want you to have. The reason why he created the sky is because he wanted you to see the stars. The reason why he created the earth, because he wanted to embrace you and hug you. So reconnect with your faith. Let God provide you with the opportunity and let you be the seed that turns the soil and see what happens. And so with that said, Emmanuel, You are a brother from another mother. You are that being. You talk about manifesting things into life. I'm going to tell you, he is the original laptop, PC, computer, but only in life form. Yeah, there's an alien amongst us. Manuel, how do you interpret this quote?
Well, thanks for the compliment. One thing I'd like to say before saying anything, like I am not an AI guy, okay? I am not an AI guy. Like I understand artificial intelligence by virtue of my relationship to cybernetics. My focus is intelligence amplification. That is my domain of expertise,
You
not an
spelled it
AI.
different. Same
Huh?
thing. I just spelled it different. Same thing.
No, 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 very different. They're so
I'm
very
joking.
different.
I'm joking.
Okay, sorry. I just clarity is important here. But thank you. But no, this quote is really cool. I'm glad Elle pinged me in. Elle, I think, is demonstrating the literal reality of this quote right now, and the people she had come on with us today. So I'm just happy to celebrate that. And I think I'm sorry I forgot your name. The lady who spoke just a second
Uh,
ago.
Jessica,
That's like right. That was just brilliant contribution. I think she's exactly right. And I think it's interesting because it's always right in front of us, like right in the moment, right? Because we can't manifest in the future, we can't manifest in the past. Like it's right here and right now, right? And I think that's the hardest thing to remember. And as we even sit here, I'm looking around and I like see like tremendous opportunity. And again, I have to like turn back again to L, like L, like you're really annoying. Like I constantly have to celebrate you. Like your initiative is like perpetual, and I really do appreciate that. I think that's absolutely sublime. So yeah, I'm just really grateful to be able to like just like celebrate what L continues to do, and hope that a lot of the people here we can continue conversations like two gentlemen from Yonkers. Can't wait to meet you guys. I really can't wait to meet you guys. There's so much I'd love to share with you.
and we're
And
looking forward to you giving your interpretation on the quote.
I am giving my interpretation of the quote. This is literally my interpretation of the quote is essentially trying to propel the potential that exists here and now as we're essentially speaking to each other. All right. That's my interpretation of the quote, right? And Jessica and her husband also like the work that you guys are doing is very interesting to me. I'm very much into cybernetics and biofeedback and technologies that are related to improving the human nervous systems. I'd love to discuss that with you also and talk about the potential of that. So that's my interpretation of the quote is to just propel us forward. Godspeed.
Godspeed. Thank you. Thank you. And Daryl Mack, educator over in Yonkers. Beautiful man. Look at all these beautiful people in here. That's one thing about this show. You know, I always talk about how beautiful someone is on the outside, but where does beauty originated? It comes from the heart. And let me tell you, I have some of the big largest hearts in this country. I mean, I don't even have to do surgery on these guys. These guys are beating strong. So Daryl Mack, welcome.
Thank you.
Um, how does Madam C.J. Walker's quote land on you?
Um, I'm gonna be frankly honest with you. I'm right now, I'm like squirming in my chair right now because I have so much to say how this quote resonates with me personally. And in addition to that, how this quote is part of my daily service when I interact with my students and the messages that I talk to them about and the message I try to get forward to them. Um, don't sit down and wait for opportunity to come and get up and make them. So it resonated with me on a personal level because I look at my journey through education and how I started out in education. I had no desire or aspiration to be an educator, but it wasn't until my former high school principal, who happened to be a Black man, sat me down and pretty much asked me what are your plans after graduation? And I was focused on going to Wall Street. So something that Lornette said, I was chosen and picked. God spoke to him to pick me No, you're going to go on a different path. Your purpose is working, you're coming back to the community, being of service. And my whole life took on a whole different course of action. And here I am 33 years later as an educator, but an opportunity, I was chosen and an opportunity was presented for me to pursue education, and I made the best of it by me being ambitious and me seeking and going out here. So I wasn't sitting back, and a lane was created, and I turned it into an opportunity. So my message to my young people is you control your own destiny. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to pursue, it's not going to come up to you and knock on the door and say, here's an opportunity. You got to go out there, seek and find. And once you find, one thing I always, and this is something I tell my son, when you find your purpose, it is not considered work. Once you walk in your purpose and you find what it is that you want to do, it is not considered work. I wake up every day looking forward to my interaction and working with young people. That's not considered work. I enjoy what I do, and I often tell my young people, ask yourself, would you do it for free? When you find something that you do for free, it's not work because you're paying it forward and you're being of service. So, like I said, this quote is resonated with me in so many different ways. I can sit here and talk for an hour, but I know I can't.
That's okay. Well, we have another show that you can talk for an hour talking with Kevin and Son. And I want to thank for all my educators and all the wonderful people that are on this platform for pouring into our community on this podcast. Opportunity-minded people, they see the problem and they do something about it. So they see the opportunity and they start the problem. That's what my grandfather used to say. So I'm going to turn to a page to another educator, my author, spoken word queen on our show, educator over in Boston, troubleshooter of mankind, and just a gift to this world, Miss Denise Lopes.
Hi everyone. How you doing? Um, this week has been rough for me, so I'm kind of emotional. I lost two of my former students, so it's
Sorry.
been tough emotionally. Um, but this quote really landed on me. It just brought me back when I first came from Cape Verde, uh, as an English language learner. I was graduating high school, and my guidance counselor was like, "Oh, you're not ready. You won't be successful in college. You should just do a 6 month training, and that's it." And to me, I'm like, "Nope, I can't do that. That's not what I came to this country for. I came for an education." So I decided to look at the college process. So the opportunity came to go to college now, where everybody would go and talk to the counselors over there and admission. So that's when I got to school. I was able to go to UMass and graduated. After I graduated UMass, because at UMass Dartmouth, they just put you through business. And I wanted to do something different. I wanted to work with kids. So I volunteer all the time. So an opportunity came. My friend was working at a school in New Bedford, and the principal needed someone that spoke the language. So I spoke Spanish and Portuguese. So I went to meet with the principal, and he gave me the job right there.
Wow.
So that's how I became a teacher, and that was the best decision I ever made. And after that, I went for my master's of education. So if I didn't go look for my opportunity, I would just have a 6 month course, and that was it. And now I'm going for my doctor's in education, and I love what I do for my students. And seeing them learning as an English language learner, I'm giving back because that's what I do. I'm an ESL teacher, and I'm teaching the kids that come in from country, from the war, and I love it. And I had to go for it. I had to look for my opportunity, and I guess that was my purpose. Because as soon as the principal saw me, he goes, "You are the one. You are the one we need here with these kids." And that's been, I go for it. I never let anybody tell me I cannot do it. I'm like, I'm going to show you I can do it. And I go look for my opportunities. And that's have been my journey. And I've been teaching for 18 years and I love it. And I'm going to keep doing it.
Right. Well, your passion comes through, and we all know on this show and people that are listening that you've gone through some struggles with our education system when we talk about DEI. You have been the poster child, providing opportunities for our young people and being the voice of a child that can't speak for himself in order to provide change. We know the struggle is real, and you are a warrior, queen, not princess, and we appreciate all that you give and continue to give. And my condolences goes to the families of your lost angels. So our heart is also heavy. Harold, we are going to ask Otis to deliver the quote one more time. And for anyone that has lost someone, understand that when you see a butterfly, it is just think about this. It is just a butterfly carrying a tear to the angels above. All right, Harold, how does this quote from Madam C.J. Walker, "Don't just sit down and wait for opportunity to come, get up and make them happen"? How's that land on you?
Again, peace, everyone. And I would also like to say to Denise, peace be upon your students. Apparently, they were very special to you. The first thing that came to my mind is, why would such a quote be necessary? All right, to identify why this quote would be necessary. And apparently, as adults, as parents, as civilized people in a civilized society, we have an obligation to each one teach one. So with that being said, the need for this quote is to spread that energy of our, if you're successful, it's your obligation to raise up those beneath you. When opportunity doesn't come, so you could sit there and wait all you like. Opportunity will not come and knock on your door. Opportunity comes by you being present, by you showing up, by your thoughts and actions. Thought is magnetic. So, if you have a thought, you hold on to that thought. Within another 10, 12 seconds, a like thought will be attracted to that thought. And that's how sentences are made and paragraphs are made and books are made, because thought is magnetic. To hear someone say, well, nah, I don't want to go do that yet because I'm waiting for this. I'm not going to do that now because I'm waiting for that to happen. A lot of times, if you dig deep, there are a number of factors that come into play. However, the two that I'm going to identify would be fear and procrastination. And usually it's fear. In most cases, it's fear. Fear actually fuels procrastination quite often. But it's the fear aspect. And I remember when I was younger, my mother, who's an avid reader, tons of books, had a book called by Susan Jeffers titled "Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway." And as I got older, I began to take that quote and use that quote as my fuel and actually kind of find fun in the fear and doing it anyway. I kind of made fun out of it. It becomes exciting now, as you get older, life becomes, you've done a lot of things in your life. So you need, you search for other things to keep the excitement. So that's one of the practices is that I have is I feel the fear, but I do it anyway, because what's the worst case scenario? So there was a show on HBO, came out in 2002, in my opinion, probably one of the most profound shows that ever hit TV. It was called The Wire. And there was one scene in The Wire. There was a boxing coach. His name was Cuddy. And there was another kid who was on the corner. They called him Dookie. His name was Duquan, but they called him Dookie. And Dookie, he tried to fit in. His family was messed up. He tried to fit in with the rest of the corner. He stood on the corner. He tried to do what they were doing. but it just wasn't for him. He wasn't built that way. It just wasn't for him. So he went to go talk to the boxing coach to learn how to fight. And the coach asked him, why do you want to learn how to fight? He said, because, I'm just tired of people messing with me. I tried the corner for a little while. How'd that work out for you? He had a lump on his eye and it didn't work out for him. So he's talking to Cuddy, and Cuddy says, well, listen, man, there's more to life than this corner. There's more to life than the corner. There's a great big world out there. The rest of the world is out there. And the kid asked him something so profound. He said, well, how do you get from here to the rest of the world? And that is where your thoughts create your opportunities. You have to show up. Join the army. Join a program. Join an organization. Volunteer. These are where your opportunities are at. This is where your opportunity lies, within your socialization, your networking, getting out there, meeting people, shaking hands, and doing things. And again, that thought being magnetic, you will then attract everything. You will then attract what you will see to be an opportunity. If you're listening to 1010 Wins, you're never going to hear an R&B song, simply because you're not tuned in to where R&B songs are played. So if you want opportunity, tune into what it is that you're interested in and what it is that you feel. And the universe will then begin to open up lanes and throw things at you. You just got to tune in. We walk past $1 million opportunities every day, but we're so focused on what it is that we're focused on, we don't see them. They just go right by us because I'm focused on what I'm focused on. That's what I'm tuned into. So in terms of waiting for opportunity does not come. You have to make opportunity. You have to create opportunity. We are creators. Larnez mentioned Louis Farrakhan. I'll mention Louis Farrakhan's teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said, we are the makers, the owners, the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, gods of the universe. So we make it, we create it. Everything in the universe started as a thought first. There's nothing around you that did not come as a thought first. And that thought will create your opportunity. Now, I don't know if that's an interpretation, but that's just my perspective, my observation.
and that's what the whole show's about. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just a conversation that needs to be had. And, this quote, the reason why I think it came up, because you have to remember, Madam C.J. Walker was born December 23rd, 1867. 1 out of 5 children. She was born into freedom. So the opportunity to where she saw life was not as available as it is to us today. But the other thing that you mentioned, procrastination is the first door that opens to mediocrity. That's a quote by a famous author, Kevin McLemore. So you said a lot of deep things on there, and I'm hoping that it resonates with our listeners. And I hope people are sitting back in their seat and they're trying to buckle in, because the ride is still going. And we're going to see the better half, the Chichester family, another entrepreneur. And just for those of you that don't know or understand what an entrepreneur is a person that sees something different in an obstacle, and they create an opportunity that creates an advantage for them. So I hope I explained that very well. Peter Chichester, how does this quote land on you?
Thanks, Kevin. And I don't know how I'm supposed to follow Harold, right? I mean, that was a lot to come off of. And listening to everybody, this has struck me so differently in the last half hour, listening to everybody's stories, right? I mean, from the quote just being self-evident, which was mentioned, because as an entrepreneur and as somebody who's always pushing forward, it's okay, it's just self-evident. That's what I do. It seems normal, but then again, it's not normal for a lot of people, right? And that's where each one teach one. That's why we all are educators trying to help one another. So, Darryl really kind of changed my entire view of the quote when he brought it really personal, right, to his story. And then that really changed my whole thought process with the opportunity and this quote personally, because again, I'm a 30-year firefighter, right? Or at the time before our business, 24 years. Jess was a full-time school teacher. So, we have pensions. Owning a business was the furthest thing from our minds at all, right? There's no interest in it. But it was a God story, right? Every part of this, I mean, again, we could have the long show with this, but every part of this is a God story. From it was a back injury I had from the fire department that made me look into infrared saunas, and then we ended up buying one for the house, and it felt so amazing, right? And we're using this, and they're really preyed upon it. We said, how do you tell people about this technology, right? And God gave us a vision that night for this facility. And then we didn't have the money, but then God gave us opportunities where doors opened and finances came in, and we were able to open this facility. And now 6 years of struggle, really, because opening a business is not easy. Especially through COVID and everything else. So, again, all different opportunities that just opened. We saw them, we worked through them, we pushed forward, we walked in faith, to the point now where we have the opportunity to franchise this model and give this opportunity of healing to so many other people. And it's just opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. It's mind-blowing, right? When you go back into that. I'll tell a quick story. My son, my son's 19 years old, right? He's literally, I haven't seen him in the last year because he sits in his room and plays video games, right? I mean, it's not uncommon, right? He's a great kid, super great heart, but that's just who he is. So when we go to Ecuador to these plant medicine retreats with the Ecuadorian shamanic culture people, they had a flood and they had some rain damage, and we're talking to them and they needed some help rebuilding. So, Zach comes down and I'm off the phone with them, and I said, hey, Zach, I said, my friends need some help in Ecuador. Are you interested in going down and helping them? And again, this kid lives in his room playing video games. Instantly goes, yeah, I'll go. I go, really? And he goes, yeah. I go, well, do you want me to go down with you and help set you up? And he goes, no. So now this is a kid who's never been there, doesn't know these people, goes to Ecuador, works there about a week, helps them out. And then since then, he's traveled for the last month and a half all over Ecuador, the Galapagos Islands. He's meeting people, he's interacting, he's totally opening his shell, just again from following that opportunity. So incredible things. So I love this group. I love everything that's happening here, everything I hear. It's I'll bring it back in a comedic note, right? In the firefighting world, right? And maybe it works for the rest of the world, but there's two things people hate most, right? The first is change, right? And the second thing is things staying the same. So, always seek those opportunities, always keep on pushing forward and find them and growing.
Well, you talk about it's hard to follow this group. You just gave my closing statement, so I appreciate that. So, Peter, thank you for your share. And believe it or not, our lady that speaks in volume. And let me tell you, pay attention, because you're about to get some wisdom dropped on you. Gilda James, the better half of Christopher James. Oh, I love it when I see loving couples join side by side. So, Gilda, how does this quote? Well, before I go on, Otis, will you deliver the quote one more time?
Certainly.
I love that silky sounding voice right there. I do not know why Hollywood has not discovered Otis Spencer. And for those of my friends that are in the entertainment business, you know something? You need to have someone narrate your film. You need to have that golden voice on there. Give Otis a call.
Thank you. And the quote, don't sit down and wait for opportunities to come. Get up and make them.
Hey, Gilda, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. My problem is not because I want to sit down and not do opportunity. Is partially what Harold said is the fear. It's the fear of failure, and I just want to say, if it wasn't for this show and Kevin, it brought some of my fear out to relate and show the world maybe that I can do this. I can do this. But I'm not much of a talker, just like Kevin said, but I just enjoyed being on the show and listening to all these wonderful experience. But I'm not the person, again, I'm not the person that wants to sit down. I do want to do these things. It's just that I have to fight my fears. That's where I'm at right now. I'm fighting my fears.
You're doing a great job of conquering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just remember, there's not one soldier that or athlete or person that starts their first of anything and not have the same butterflies in their stomach. You know, there was a national women's championship that was just won by a historically Black college for the first time ever. And it was, I think, 17 or 18 young women. Let me tell you, when you are in a crowded room and there's noise, you don't think you can be heard until you face your fears, and then the whole world's listening. So I appreciate the accolades, but it is me that shows up every single day and have to face my fears because I have to follow so many wonderful people that are forward thinkers. So you guys are running in front of me and protecting me. So I appreciate you on that hand. So with that said, Otis, you were responsible for bringing the quote. You've heard a lot of conversation based on CJ Walker's conversation. Your motivation, interpretation, and inspiration of bringing this quote. Let's talk about your interpretation and why you brought this quote.
Certainly. Well, one, it was National Women's Month, so I wanted to find a quote from a famous woman that was out there. One of the things I will say is surround yourself with positive people.
Mm-hmm.
That will also help motivate you. Things in life, you're going to find different obstacles. And by challenging that obstacle to do something better will put you in a different position, such as personally being in the parking industry. You know, you find different managers you may work with and you may not work with them. It came to a point where, hey, things are not working right in this particular situation. I stopped, I moved on to another company. And guess what? I started to elevate myself from the things that I learned from the past.
Mm-hmm.
Even being in the entertainment industry, look for those opportunities coming out of college. Hey, yes, I want to be an actor. I want to do various things. Are there seminars out there? Absolutely. I took the opportunity, took a seminar, a 3 or 4 day seminar. Our last day on that seminar, you would have written your own commercial and you performed it in front of 5, 6, 7 different casting directors. We did that, and guess what? I started getting commercials thereafter. You have to find those opportunities.
With that said, again, Peter, I'm going to piggyback off of you. I hate following all you wonderful people. You know, the listen to Harold, to listen to my co-host Daryl Mack speak, to listen to the heartfelt words of Larnez. No one can follow that. And then to listen to the gift of Manuel, and then Jessica, and also understanding that the struggles are real from Denise, but also to our service people, you know, both as a firefighter, a humanitarian, to our military person on the staff, you know, and also to Gilda. Every single day, God provides us with an opportunity that most of us take for granted. I always say motivation begins from the moment you open your eyes. That is God's way of giving you an opportunity to get today right. As soon as your feet hit the floor, put your right foot in front of your left. That is your purpose. Whatever drives you, whatever motivates you, whatever inspires you, if you've got 2 feet, that's bringing you closer to where you want to be. We're all 3 feet away from what it is that we really and truly want. And that could be a relationship. That could be a professional opportunity. That could be a conversation that leads to another conversation, a conversation that will lead life to a change. And we all have one constant thread that ties us all together: chance and choice.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day we take another breath. We take a breath in order to breathe. Every time we open our mouth, we make a decision that either brings us closer to where we want to be or propels us from where we need to be. But we all have opportunity to do great things. And great things could be a conversation, a speech on the pulpit, a change that will take a person that was contemplating of exiting this world prematurely to be the reason why they stay in this world permanently. You know, this show was brought together not by, when I say this was my dream. I had no idea what I was doing when I started the show, but it provided me an opportunity to surround myself with great-minded people, with people with heart. So with that said, that's my take on this quote by Madam C.J. Walker. We know that her struggle was real. She came at a time when opportunity wasn't present. First of 5 children to be born into freedom after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. And look what she did. So if she can do what she did and start an industry with less, take your eyes off your cell phone for 5 minutes and see what you can do when you have more. So with that said, my grandfather always said, and I want to thank everyone for listening. If you like what you've heard, go to RMK Productions and Network on my YouTube page and subscribe and follow. And remember this, the only people that subscribe and follow, I ask that you have a high call to action. If you're not someone that's willing to make a change, we appreciate you listening because we all need a lesson in life. But if you're a person that wants to get involved and wants to be on the show, you're welcome. Please follow, subscribe, and share. If you also would like to be a guest on here, go to our YouTube page and hit subscribe. The information to join this show is available to you. You can be a co-host with us. My grandfather always said, when you get to a point in life that you can do something for someone else, it's your duty to do so. You guys have a different interpretation than what I have. He said, reach one, teach one. And with that said, Larnez?
We can fade to black.
We're out. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank
And
you.
we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Blessings.
Peace, everybody.
All right.